Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. You know what time it is. Update time once again in the Battlerealm, and I am back with everything that you need to know about the August 2025 update in MCOC. We have a ton of stuff to cover today, so without further ado, let's get right to it. Starting off with the new champs for August, which are SOLVARCH and Cassandra Nova. Now, not much information available publicly about either of these champions. There was a video clip teased a day or two ago, but other than that, everything is still under embargo. When it comes to SOLVARCH, we know that he is the latest idle champ. He is the third out of, I think, 4 idle champions. We know that he's a tech champion, and we know that he skips leg day. Now, when it comes to Cassandra Nova, she looks incredibly cool, like an evil version of Professor X, and I'm pretty sure her gameplay and her mechanics will kind of be similar to Professor X, but like she's an evil version of him, right? So a lot more damage, a lot more aggression required for her playstyle. I haven't played either of these champions yet. I don't really care for Professor X's playstyle. However, I am a huge fan of the designer for Cassandra Nova, and I have gelled with many of their champions in the past, so I have very high hopes for Cassandra Nova in particular. Alright, number 2, there are so many buffs to talk about. There are 9 champions in total receiving some sort of tune-up for the month of August. You can see the first 3 here are MODOK, YONDU, and after what feels like an eternity, PATRIOT finally getting that rebalance. So let's run through these 3 very quickly here, otherwise we're going to be here all day. So for YONDU, he now applies ruptures instead of bleeds. Fewer champions are immune to rupture, but rupture is subject to physical resistance, so a little bit of a trade-off there. Guaranteed Fury on the Special 2 is really nice. The Special 2 Furies are now more potent with lower max stacks. That means it's going to require fewer Special 2s for you to hit max ramp, which is good. Also some good utility, concussion immunity against mutants. He has an Invalidate now as well. Increase the heal block debuff duration on Special 1, which is wild to me. So previously, YONDU, one of the better heal block champions in the game. If you throw the Special 1 while an opponent is actively healing, the heal block duration is like doubled or something. It's crazy. But, he didn't really have the oomph. He didn't have the damage to kind of match the utility that he had. And on paper, this fixes a lot of his problems, and I think I'm very excited to test him out, and hopefully he has a place for me on my war roster, because that heal block is really, really valuable. Now, when it comes to PATRIOT, I personally don't have a lot of experience with PATRIOT. I have a PATRIOT, but I don't really use him outside of like Arena. So I don't really feel like I'm in a good place to say like how much better he is going to be after this rebalance. That being said, I did talk with his designer, and he is going to be ramping a lot faster with a bit more damage overall. I have a pretty good opinion of PATRIOT despite not using him. I think he was already pretty good. I think most people just took one look and wrote him off. We have a rank 4 PATRIOT in my battle group, and he's taken out 42 Spider-Woman. He's gotten a solo there. He's gotten a solo on a high evolutionary boss just this past war. So he does have the damage, and this is all pre-buff. So taking that and making it better, I think, is just a huge positive. So if you are, kind of down on PATRIOT, definitely encourage you to take another look. I certainly will be. Maybe I'll finally sit down and learn how to use him after the rebalance. Last one is MODOK, and MODOK has been made even more annoying on defense. So his auto block can now trigger parry. I think that's based on his signature ability. He also disables True Strike and True Sense effects, so Undermine and True Accuracy will still work, but True Strike and True Sense will be removed during your special attacks if you try and use a special attack with that effect active. Yeah, just, he's an annoying defender. Based on what's written here, I think he'll still probably be incredibly weak offensively, but with the new defensive capabilities that he has, he'll be coming soon to an Alliance War defense and a Battlegrounds deck near you. So that's those 3 buffs. We'll talk about the other 6 in just a bit. Okay, number 3, let's scroll down here. We have a brand new Crucible quest coming on August 13th. Now, it has been a minute since Kabam put out the last Crucible, which, if you recall, was all of the bosses in Act 7. This one will be all the bosses in Act 8, including the Ouroboros bosses. So Cytalis, Bahamut, Cerastes, and Glycon will all be in the new Crucible quest. So there will be a normal difficulty with 4 different paths representing the 4 different chapters of Act 8, and then there will again be a Legendary difficulty, which will have all of the fights on one single path. Reminder that it is not rarity limited, so you can bring in, 6 stars if you want, 5 stars if you're really crazy. However, you will not be able to use the same champion of the same rarity twice. So if you bring in 7-star Onslaught into the very first fight, 7-star Onslaught is locked for the rest of the quest. You can't use him, but you can use a 6-star Onslaught. So that rule was in place for the first Crucible, and they've kept it in place for this one as well. Now, as for me, I've already got a planning sheet almost done, actually. I've been working on it since they told us that the Crucible was coming. And as usual, I have recruited several guest creators who have generously added their teams to the sheet. It is in a very good place. I honestly think this is the best planning sheet yet. We have a lot of variety in attacker options, more so than I can recall for previous planning sheets. So I'll probably put that video out and make the sheet public a couple days before August 13th so that Ians have enough time to plan your run yourself. One final reminder about the Act 8 Crucible. Again, the Ouroboros bosses are all going to be in here. If you need to refamiliarize yourself with any of them, I do have guides for those bosses available on the channel. They are some of my best and most popular content, and I would really encourage you to check them out, especially if it's been a minute like it has for me since you fought any of those bosses. Number 4 is something called the Rebirth event. So throughout the month of August, you will be earning Rebirth tokens, and then you'll be able to trade those in for one of several newly available and newly buffed 7-star champions: Night Thrasher, Anti-Venom, Dr. Voodoo, Cull Obsidian, Viv Vision, and Sabretooth. So details on how exactly this is going to work, not available here. I'm assuming they're going to be talking about it in more detail on the live stream because that's how it always works. But given that there are tokens in play here, what I am assuming is going to happen is if you earn enough of these tokens, or maybe even all of these tokens, there will probably be a Rebirth selector available so that you are guaranteed to get one of these champions that you really, really want. For me, of course, I will be picking Viv Vision, one of my favorite champions in the game, and finally available as a 7-star. Now, there may or may not be like 7-star Rebirth crystals available. I don't know if they'll be available to earn. I would bet that they will be for sale because, why wouldn't there be crystals for sale in an event like this? Obviously, you guys know that I'm very big fan of Viv Vision. She's my top choice here, but my boy Anti-Venom also getting a really nice buff that we'll cover shortly here. And he is my number 2 most wanted from this pool. So if we get, options, if we get multiple selectors, that would be great. I wouldn't expect more than one selector though. But I do expect some sort of way to get additional chances at these other champions. So Viv Vision number 1, Anti-Venom number 2, but all these champions buffs are really, really good. Now, I don't want to go through all 6 of these buffs in detail because, again, this video is already going to be really, really long. So you can pause the video and read through the buff information yourself. I will cover them briefly. So when it comes to Cull, you can look through these bullet points here, but what you need to know about Cull is that he now has otherworldly amounts of damage. Starts partially ramped in Battleground, starts partially ramped in War, and from what I understand, I can't even imagine how strong a rank 4 Cull Obsidian is going to be, but I foresee him getting a lot of bans in War and in Battlegrounds. Dr. Voodoo, he's got Power Steal, he's got Power Dissolve. He is a Mystic with Poison, which means he is going to be really good for Dark Phoenix. She is weak to Nullify, she's weak to Poison. Really, really good option for her, I would expect. Anti-Venom now has a much faster ramp on his utility. Half of his debuffs are automatically preserved when you use the special 2. That's really, really nice. His signature ability has been reworked so that his increased debuff potency is now permanent for the rest of the fight via these Exacerbate passives. I loved Anti-Venom when he originally came out. Very frustrating champ, though, because, having to choose between his damage and his utility really put him below like a similar champ like Mr. Fantastic. But on paper, this solves most of the issues that I had with him, and I cannot wait to test him out. Really, really good buff on paper, and I think that he will be a staple on Alliance War teams, going forward. Night Thrasher now has a debuff Purify offensively. If you recall, he was only able to purify debuffs when he was knocked down, so on offense there was really no way for you to do that unless you took a heavy to the face or a special to the face. Increased debuff duration is great, increased damage, increased potency on that precision, really, really good. Shout out to B McG, who I know is absolutely over the moon about his favorite champ getting buffs. So looking forward to testing Night Thrasher and seeing what B does with him as well. Sabretooth, lots more damage, much easier to convert his Furies. If you're a big Sabretooth fan, he is going to be much more useful in content. And last but certainly not least, Viv Vision, a lot of ability accuracy protection on her solar charges and her special 3 Fury. And then her heavy attack, extra damage on the heavy if it's going to be invalidating prowess, which is really, really nice as well. Not many changes here for Viv Vision because obviously she was already perfect to begin with. One thing you'll notice about all of these champs, or a lot of them, maybe not all of them, is that several of these champions are very Sigstone hungry. So Viv Vision, you really want her at Sig 200. Anti-Venom also, you really want at Sig 200. I'm not really sure about Voodoo or Cull, and I think if I recall, you kind of want high Sig for Sabretooth and Thrasher as well. So the point here is that I'm really curious what the situation for Sigstones is going to look like in this event, because getting these champions is awesome. Getting them duped would be awesome. But like when it comes to Viv, if you don't have the 7-star Sigstones to take her up to a high or max Sig, you are definitely leaving a lot of stuff on the table with her. And I think that's going to be true with several of these champions. So I would expect some sort of Sigstone availability in this event. I have no idea, how many are going to be available. Hopefully enough to take like one of these champions to 200. That would be ideal for me, I think. But we'll see kind of how that looks. All right, the next 3 are all pretty small. Starting off with number 5, the Act 8 Mini-Crucible. So this is going to be all of the fights, or maybe some of the fights from the Act 8 Crucible, but they are all going to be tuned for 2- and 3-star champions. I absolutely love this idea. I love getting uses out of my 2- and 3-star champions. I have all of my 3 stars max rank for no reason other than I just like collecting them. And getting use out of them is really, really cool. Beating up on the Ouroboros bosses like Glycon with a 2-star champ just sounds really, really cool. So I love this idea. Want to see more of this. Want to see more uses for my lower rarity champs. And it's really, really good idea. Number 6 is something called solo raids. So if you've followed this channel for a while, you know that one of my persistent criticisms of the raids mode is that it discourages experimentation. So you choose a champ, and if you choose wrong, you're kind of, stuck there for the rest of the week. You do have one champ swap node, but that's not really a complete solution. This mode, solo raids, is a much better solution. So solo raids will essentially be the raid map that you go into once a month, but you can go in yourself and test stuff out without it costing you units for raid revives, without costing you tickets. Just kind of like a raids playground, so that everybody should be a bit more prepared for what champion and what role boost they want to use when the actual raids mode comes back around. Really, really happy to see this implemented. I am pretty vocal about my displeasure for this mode, and I provide a lot of feedback to the team about raids, and this is one of the fruits of that. So really, really happy to see this implemented. In addition, for a limited time here, you can see the solo raids quest will also have a solo objective that will give you some tickets, some XP, and some daily super event points, just to encourage you to play around in here right away. So really looking forward to this mode. All right, number 7 is the Alliance Weekly Super Event. This is essentially the daily super event, but for Alliance stuff. So this will run for a week at a time, and it will deprecate the Summoner Advancement and Summoner Engagement events. All of the rewards and more from those 2 events will be folded into this one big super event. Now, the daily super event was a huge win, a very positive change in terms of just cleaning up the stuff that you have to look at every day and every week. So I expect this to be more of the same. If you're not in an active alliance and not taking advantage of alliance rewards like this, you should absolutely get into a good alliance as soon as possible. Number, what are we on? 8, the Battlerealm Brawl Throwback. So this is going to be a solo quest. Looks like it's going to contain some specific fights that FinTech did during the original Battlerealm Brawl back in 2023, which was broadcast live on YouTube or Twitch or whatever they were doing at the time. So FinTech, really good run to become the Battlerealm Brawl champion a couple years ago. We'll see if he's able to defend his crown. I don't remember a lot of the matchups that he did, except for one where he kind of had to throw around with Archangel versus Mysterio, which was obviously not a good matchup, but hopefully that one is not included. But looking forward to see kind of what this is. This seems like just like a fun little quest that they're throwing in there to get people hyped up for the upcoming Battlerealm Brawl. So definitely looking forward to this as well. All right, number 9, we are getting a brand new set of relics in August called Statcast Relics. So information a bit sparse here, as you can see. I'm assuming they're going to be talking about this in more detail on the official live stream, so you're going to have to go watch the replay for that for more detail than I am able to provide here. What I can tell you is that these relics are going to be much slimmer than the existing set. These are going to be focused on improving champion stats, and the ability enhancing stuff that you are used to seeing on existing relics is not going to be present here. So these should be more broadly useful, whereas a lot of relics right now, like the Venom relic, for example, you can really only use it on a cosmic champion who applies bleed. And other than that, like, it's just, essentially just a striker. So I think they're aiming on changing that experience. The most important thing that I think you need to know about these new relics is that my understanding is that these will be a completely separate pool of relics than the existing ones that we have. So brand new crystals, brand new shards. If you are hoarding your relic crystal shards, just forget about it, open them now, because your existing relic crystals will not be updated to include the brand new relics. However, I do believe that rank up materials are going to be shared between the two sets of relics. So when it comes to acquisition, there's going to be now, kind of two swim lanes for acquisition between the two types of relics. But when it comes to rank up, all those materials will be shared. And that, people are going to have mixed opinions on that. I don't really want to litigate that decision here, but I want to make sure that you, the viewer, are informed. So again, if you are hoarding your relic shards and we're hoping to get all the relics, the new relics on day 1, forget about it and just go ahead and open those crystals now. All right, number 10, last but certainly not least, for anybody who says that Kabam never fixes bugs, we have 2 whole pages of bug fixes. And obviously I'm not going to cover all of these. As usual, if you want to read through them yourself, you can pause the video as I'm scrolling through, or you can head over to the official site where all these bug fixes will be listed there. I do want to talk about a few of these in particular. Let's start with this one here. Fixed the Abyss Collector's info page description regarding his Unstoppable to more accurately reflect the ability's function. Unfortunately, he is still very rude. When I saw this bug listed in the patch notes, it felt like I had lost a long and arduous battle. So if you aren't familiar with what this is, so the Abyss Collector has an ability where if you deal a certain percentage of his current health, he triggers a passive Unstoppable. And the way that it has always worked is that as his health, this only triggers in the last 20% of his health maybe, but as you get his health down closer to 0, the Unstoppable triggers basically on every hit, because this was always a function of his current health instead of his max health. So I have fought the good fight, and I have complained for literally years that this ability should be a function of his max health, because making him go unstoppable on every hit is just total BS. Fortunately, I have lost that fight, and they have decided to update the info page description to reflect how it actually has been working and will continue to work going forward. So yeah, this kind of sucks. I mean, the fight is 8 years old, and we have a lot more counters to Unstoppable than we did previously. So it's probably fine, but this is the most BS part of an already really crappy fight. I would have preferred that they had updated the actual fight itself. A little disappointed in this, but again, it is what it is. All right, the next one I want to talk about here is one. Let me find it. It's with Negasonic and Nick Fury. Here we go. Fixed an issue in which Nick Fury would incorrectly remove Negasonic Teenage Warhead's ability accuracy modification for skill champions when he activated his LMD. So what was happening here is that Negasonic has an ability where she reduces the ability accuracy of bleeds from skill champions by 100%. So basically, skill champions can't bleed her without some sort of increased ability accuracy. But when you would push Nick Fury into second life with her, she would actually lose that ability accuracy modification, and he was able to bleed her, which is very, very problematic. I'm not really sure what the reason behind this was. I suspect that whatever they were using to like modify skill champ's ability accuracy was like a hidden passive behind the screen, or behind the scenes rather. And like when Nick triggers LMD, he removes any negative effect, and it's just like this blanket purge of effects. So I'm guessing what was happening was he was removing that like invisible passive, and that was causing her to lose the ability. So that has been fixed going forward. Nice little change for Negasonic there. And the last one I want to talk about here, there was actually a separate post on the forum, I believe, about this issue. If you didn't see it here, fixed an issue in which Baron Zemo was applying his Fury buffs in his current rather than his next hit when the opponent was immune to or purified multiple debuffs at once. This is kind of just moving his damage from one hit to the next hit. It also allows you, once you use his special one, especially against Photon, I think is the matchup that they listed. Use your special one against Photon. You get the big Fury because she's immune to bleed, and then what you can do is you can like sidestep into your Striker, and the Fury will not be consumed during the Striker hit. So you get like 3 nice Striker hits with that Fury, and then your next medium is going to have the big Fury as well. So moving the damage a little bit later in his rotation, but possibility exists for even more damage. So I think this is a pretty decent change. Whole bunch of other like really small fixes to nodes and what. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these because there's 2 pages of them, and we're going to be here forever. So that's going to do it for the August patch notes, folks. Let me know in the comments below what you are most excited about for next month. For me, 7-star Viv Vision finally coming to the game. I am so excited. I have all of the stuff saved, including Sig Stones, to take her to rank 4 and Sig 200 on day 1. So even if we get no rank up materials, no Sig Stones from this Rebirth event, I will still be able to have a rank 4 Viv on day 1. I am so excited. I've been saving for, before I even knew she was coming to the game, I was saving just in case. So the Crucible event, Crucible quest rather, also really looking forward to that. The Crucible Act 7 was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to punching through this quest as well. Again, let me know in the comments below what you're most excited about. And as always, thank you very much for watching. See you again next time.